Hello, beloveds. Sweet day to you. We are on touchstone number 10, Symphonize My Holy Heart. Looking to see who's here with us, who's showing up. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to head on over to Facebook and pull up any questions that you may have had. I think they're feeding the sheep next door and they're just cleaning out the bucket. Welcome to our world. Roberta's here in her lounge chair, hanging out. I got some news about Jessica, so you know. Let's see here. She's not having, well, unless things have changed in the last few hours, she's not having a baby at this moment. Not having a baby at this moment. All right, let's see. Okay. So I sent a message to Jessica after we spoke. And she said that she was on her way to the chiropractor to get one final adjustment, and that if she does not have this baby by Saturday morning, that they're going to induce. So that's what's happening. So therefore, no baby as of now, no baby yet. And, or as of a few hours ago, I reached out to her right after our Sankalpa early in the morning. So, but we laid down most certainly a blessed pathway for her to be able to at least be prepared for a smooth and fluid delivery. So here we are. We're hanging out here on the patio. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. That is right through that door you can see right there. That is what we call el jardín secreto, the secret garden. And then we also have a very beautiful little studio space, etc. The yoga studio is right there. Let's see here if I can show you that right there as y'all are showing up. And then that's where Roberta's staying, is right down below. So she's got her little private quarters down there as well for folks that come on private retreat or come on group retreat as well. That's one of the accommodations. And Daisy and Maya are running around. And so we're just here today. So as you are arriving, taking some deep breaths, coming right on back right here. Feeling the breath. Nice and deep. Full deep breathing. I welcome you and I welcome you back as we come together for this touchstone number 10, Symphonize My Holy Heart. This is a super rich week. There's a ton of really delicious content built into this week, and we've got some questions coming our way this week. As we move into this particular Q&A, this satsang, this community gathering, we bring our attention to the breath and we chant together the student teacher prayer. We send the breath down and out the body on the exhale, inhaling to the crown of the head. Together. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitam Astu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcoming you back, welcoming you home, welcoming you into the fold, back into the fold, celebrating your presence again and again as we come together today. Super grateful for you being here on this glorious Wednesday. It is December 8th, and this is our touchstone number 12. As we come together, I just want to offer a few brief teachings before going into the Q&A around this Symphonize My Holy Heart. As we move through the touchstones, and we're already on double digits of touchstones, I want to remind us that our essential embodiment that we are doing as we quote unquote more completely live our yoga every single day for 108 days, that this is wildly active. That embodiment is not passive, right? It's a spiritual practice, and when we practice, we show up for ourselves and our desired intention. And our desired intention is to know ourselves as happiness for no reason, to know ourselves as the creator, the created, the act of creating, the breath, the breather, the one being breathed, the song, the singer, the singing, the one being sung to. This is how we chant. This is how we practice. This is how we come together. Remind us that during this time, this is a really great week, perhaps, to take a day of complete silence. A day where we quiet our mouths and our minds, no journaling, no talking, no back talk, no storytelling. And we just simply see if we might slip into the space between cacophony and symphony. And if you remember when I spoke about cacophony, one of the easiest ways we can explain that is to look at it as if it is the voice that comes forth and presents ourselves in one way, and we're having a completely different internal experience, right? Sometimes we call it fawning. It's one of the 5 F's. It's a stress response. So in turning our attention to the ways in which that we can instead align our thoughts, our words, our actions, and our deeds. Roberta's getting loved on by the little Miss Daisy. She's you're welcome to kick her off if she drives you nuts. See, I just need to see this just for a minute. Roberta, she's that's what happens when you
This is retreat in action.
This is retreat in action, exactly. From cacophony to symphony. So symphony is that place where we are, if you so recall, we are aligning thoughts, words, actions, and deeds, doing the best that we can with what we've got to just lay it all out there, to respond, to be present to what is as it is, and to not try to pretend that we're more enlightened than we are, or we are more peaceful than we are, or that we've got it going on more than we've got it going on in any given moment. So that's our reminder. We also remember that as we do this, as we practice, that in the beginning it feels really discordant. It feels really different from who we are and what we are. And in the beginning, it can be really hard. And then it goes from being really hard to just a little bit hard. And then it's not so hard at all. And then all of a sudden it's sort of neutral. And then we get to a place where we're like, whoa, like all of a sudden, I feel like I'd rather be like this or feel this or do this than anything else. It's like the early morning. If I miss my early morning sit and meditation, which sometimes is hours, where I'm just there in that space, just snuggling up wherever that may be. And I'm hanging out there for 30, 40, 50 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. It's way better than hanging out in bed. I wouldn't miss it for anything. I wouldn't miss that connection with the divine in the morning for anything. I wouldn't miss that time to be grateful for my mama for anything. My mama Earth, my mama Saraswati, my birth mama Marilyn. I wouldn't give that up for anything. So those are some of the pieces. When we practice, for example, the mantra Shanti, 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 we remember that the Sha is aspirate. It takes our breath away and it takes everything else away with it. So does Shiva. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. I'm out of breath. The point is it takes away your breath and everything else with it. And it is a teaching that's laying down a samskara of letting go. Namaha, namaha, namaha. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. There's no breath left. If I could still talk at the end of that third Shanti, then it's not aspirate and I'm not practicing letting go. Just a way in which to touch in. Just a way in which to go deeper. Feeling the space between the unseen and the seen, between the right and the wrong of it, between the dark and the light of it. We're just constantly looking at how do I bring myself into higher integrity? And it's not a moral issue. It's not about moral compass. That might be positively affected in a really beautiful way, but it's not about that. It's essentially about how is it that I bring my thoughts, my words, my actions, my deepest desires, my heart's longings, my highest intentions, and the will of thy will all into alignment at the same time, all moving in the same direction. That's integrity. That's symphony. And we use mantra as a tool for doing that. Remember that as we practice mantra in our lives, there's pieces to it, there's components to it, and we start out learning it, mastering the karas, the sound symbols, and then we slowly move into what's called japa for most, and then we move from mantra to japa into silence. So, Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya. And in time, it's Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya. Eventually, it's Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya. And eventually, it's the world's going on, the world's doing what the world's going to whirl, the world's just going to keep on whirling, and you're feeling into the potency and the power of the silence, of the symphony, of the deep vibrational connection to sound as the source of all that is, the dance between sound and silence. All right, let's do it. One last bit. We must pay attention with mantra. Mantra can be a place where our mind splits. Once we memorize a mantra and we know a mantra, we sometimes find that we chant it and we can simultaneously have a total internal conversation about how the plants need to be moved outside on the patio or what we're going to make for dinner. So I can have a conversation going on while I am literally chanting out loud, Om Bhur Bhuvasuvaha Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayate. Om Bhur Bhuvasuvaha Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayate. So I was like, oh, wow, this is a succulent. You know all about succulents, right? And then that's actually a succulent. It's a different kind of succulent. And I think that's kind of a geranium, but geraniums grow here all year long. And those are tomatoes. So, and they're green. And the plant is dying, but the tomatoes are still. So here I am having this total conversation and the chanting's happening. But here's the thing. If I do it silently, once I evolve to that place of evolution of practicing silently, I can't have two silent conversations going on at the same time. Try it. I'm just laughing because I'm chanting it in my head. And anytime anything else comes in and goes, like, what are we having for dinner? It's like, this. What is it? It's this, but for me I can't do this side. No, there's this, it's that. The brain can't do those two things at the same time when the two mantras are happening internally. So try that on. That's the beauty of moving to the evolution of the silence of the mantra, is it requires all of your internal energy. But when we chant out loud, it's no different than you're driving along, you're having a conversation, and you don't even know where you've been. You don't even know how you got home, and then you pull in your driveway and you're like, I'm here. But I was in this conversation with this person, or in my head, or listening to that music, or in having that memory. We're not actually deeply engaged in where we are in the moment. So that's just a practice for you. All right, beloveds, let's do your cues, and I'll give you your A's. All right, so I'm going to actually refresh this because it looks like there's been someone talking for a long time. So I want to respond to these questions. Okay. Curious if a mantra recommendation for a deeply well-worn samskara, one with deep roots, or is just picking a mantra that resonates works the same? I thought I would fill the rest of Pilgrim with a daily mantra practice. I would say absolutely find one that resonates deeply for you to help wear off that samskara. If it was me, the first one I would go to is the Mahamrityunjaya. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sukandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanam Retyor Mukshiyamamritate. All in one breath, all in one practice, deeply potent. And I do believe you have all of that in many different varieties in your member portal. If you do not, if you can't find what you're looking for, let me know and I will send you resources, because I've got good ones on the Mahamrityunjaya. It's a death conquering mantra. It's a fear conquering mantra, and it helps ripen your consciousness. It's one of the most powerful mantras when you're looking for spiritual evolution. So if you've got a deep and well-worn samskara, it's a good one. It's a good one. And what is recommended, and this is tricky and not always possible, but perhaps doing your best. We say that when we're mastering a mantra in the beginning, that we want to chant it, ready for this? 100,000 times for every sound syllable. So that means Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sukhandim Pushtivardhanam Urva Rukamiva Bandhanam Retyor Mukshiyamamritat. So that's 35 times 100,000 times that you practice in a row. Can you imagine? It's days. It's days of practice. That gives the yogini the highest blessing. You might decide, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit with it and chant it 100 times for each sound symbol. So we have to remember that when it's like that, we're taking it in japa. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sukhandim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanam Retyor Mukshiyamamritate. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sukhandim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanam Retyor Mukshiyamamritate. It's not long and slow and steady full mantra. But I would go, and perhaps just do it. Perhaps set yourself some sort of goal, or if you want to talk about what that would look like, I'm happy to talk to you about that, so that you infuse your whole being with as much as the mantra as possible. Perhaps you say that for the rest of Pilgrim, you're going to chant that mantra 108 times a day for the remainder of the journey. That would be significant. That would be 28 days. 28 days. That is someone at the door. Hang on one second. Hector? Por favor. No sé quién es. ¿Tú sabes? So now we're going to have a little bit of a party here at La Sagrada. We don't have any idea. So maybe 108 times for the mantra every day for the next 28 days. That would be profound. So it's an offering. It's a thought. It's an offering. Okay. So that's what I would say about that. All right. Margot says, I'm curious about something you said a few weeks back about mantra. I'm wondering if, no sabemos, huh? We don't know. He's chasing Maya. Chasing the dog down the street. We got this other one now. The other rascal. No, be nice. No growling. Need to practice mantra. Need to practice your death-defying mantra. All right. So Margot says, I'm curious about something you said a few weeks back about mantra. Are there certain mantras that must be taught by a teacher only? Also, I'm curious about using a mala for mantra practice. I heard a teacher once say there's a very specific way to. Okay. So, Margot, here's what I would say. There are certain mantras that must be taught by a teacher only. But I would say there is no harm done in you practicing mantra on your own. I mean, the way. So what's happening right now is the donkeys are delivering wood.
All the dogs are barking in the whole
So we have 2 donkeys with wood for the sweat lodge, and the dogs are going bazonkers. So my apologies. Come here, Daisy. Come here. We're working on it. We're just going to sit here and be quiet, and you're going to go right there and pretend yourself away. So there are mantras that should be only taught by a teacher, but what I offer you is that there's no problem with learning. The first time I learned like the Mahamrityunjaya, I laid on the floor on a patio in Bali and listened to every teacher I could find on iTunes who was singing some version of it. Same thing. Those are the donkeys. It's a mantra. Come here. I'm so. Can we just relax? These dogs don't know what to do with donkeys. I'm so embarrassed. Stop it. Stop it. We're supposed to be serious. This is a live your yoga practice. Okay, so what I will say is that, so the practice of mantra, learn it however you need to learn it. Find any mantra that moves you. And then in time, if that's a mantra that your teacher, it's not about only being taught by a teacher. It's about your teacher. Hector is trying to manage all the chaos of everyone here and et cetera, with all this craziness. So that's what I will say about that is just learn it however you learn it in the beginning. I guess it's good. We're on week 13 before this is happened to this degree. It's a little intense. We'll see if Hector can calm the. Hey, girls. One moment, please. Hey, Hector. Come here, girls. Come here. Come here. Maya, Daisy. Shh. We're just going to try to relax the scene here a little bit with the little ones. Come here. Come here. Come here. Shh. Oh my gosh. They're too excited. This is just insane. Your turn. This is what they take Daisy, this one. Take this one, Daisy. She won't attack. This is what I said. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. So donkeys are working things up around here. Oh my goodness. I hope you're enjoying the show. It's getting worse. It's getting worse. I think I'm totally sweating. Okay, we're just gonna relax a little. What are you gonna do with her? Put her somewhere? You're gonna tie him up inside? Hector's got him? Okay, good. Thank you. Phew. Poor Roberta's thinking she's gonna get attacked by a dog. This isn't it's a little bit it's a little much. Okay, here we are. Yep. So the comments are Margot says, I'm just listening to it all like it's a symphony. And it's total cacophony. Okay, whew, game over. Dogs are tied up. Life goes on. Learn your mantra however you want to learn your mantra. I literally go and find any sort of musician that I love that has music that I look it up on iTunes. I find a version. I find a version of Pot Pie. Who named their cat Pot Pie? Angela, is that what you named your cat? Pot Pie? We were like, name her Luna. It's like when my ex-husband, when I had all the animals at the farm named and they were all named in Sanskrit, if I ever told you this. And he came in and said, this cat I named. And I'm like, oh, you did? And he's like, yep, I named it. And I'm like, what'd you name it? 007. It's like, here we go. Héctor, estamos grabando. ¿Qué? Es una locura. I know, yo sé. So learn the mantra however you can learn the mantra. And then here's the thing. You don't go looking for a teacher who's going to teach you a particular mantra. You find the teacher that moves you, and that teacher is going to select the best mantra for you. Okay? The mantra for you. So there's that. Now, asking about the reminder on using the mala. If you go to, let me go to YouTube. You guys, it's all right there. Let me find it. Brit B. Steele mantra. No, mala. This is an old one, but this is here. Let me pull this up. And then I go like this and hit copy and get out of there. I'm going to pull it over here. And Margot, I am sending it to you right now. I'm going to go ahead and drop it into StreamYard for others. If you've not seen this video, it's back when I was at the yoga farm. The video is a few years old, but it is how you use a mantra. It's the significance of 108 and how you use a mala. So it's all right there for you. It's a super simple practice, but it will give you some great information on how to choose and use a mala. So that's there. Okay. Phew. Margot, you're a trooper hanging in there during that cacophony. Isn't it so perfect that this week is about cacophony? And here we are, just like Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. So there it is. That's that. All right, moving on. Rocking and rolling. Jen, our let's see, last question. I think there must be one other coming, but Jen, I love this touchstone. So this is Jen Iruita. I have, if I'm pronouncing your last name correctly, I love this touchstone, especially the idea of moving from cacophony and disintegration into self into oneness, integrity, and harmony. In addition to mantra, other ways we might bring that which is a cacophonous and incoherent in our lives to light so that we can better reconcile our inner and outer selves. Okay, a few things. Align with nature, align with nature, align with nature. Rhythms of the day, seasons, eating seasonally, dressing seasonally, choosing fabrics that are not synthetic whenever possible, natural fabrics, cotton, silk, cashmere, products on the skin that are natural versus synthetic. So lotions and potions and all of that, natural, real essential oils versus perfumes, etc., etc. All of those things help align us and symphonize us internally, align us more completely. As well, a huge one when we speak about radical self-care, an absolute huge one is love. Follow joy, follow love, follow joy, follow love, follow joy. as if to say, make choices out of self-love again and again and again. So Roberta and I were sitting for one of our sessions earlier, and I interrupted our session to ensure that we would be well hydrated. So I said, I'm going to go get us some water and some cookies that she made that were very delicious, some healthy cookies. That being said, staying hydrated, that's an act of self-love. I'm sitting here right now. My right knee feels a little bit, I'm sort of at an angle that's not working for me. An act of self. There's lots of donkey action happening out there. There's lots of donkeys in this city. So I'm just going to change the angle of my seat so that my right knee is at ease. That's an act of self-love. The food that I put in my body is an act of self-love. If I'm sitting in a conversation, it's not working for me, I just lovingly say, thank you, it's been great to speak to you, and I move on. That's an act of self-love. There are those people. Uma Inder, one of my teachers from many years ago in Bali, she was that in and through. She wanted to be free in and above all things. She was always kind, but she was very independent, and she would not sit in a conversation that didn't move her or serve her. I was in a Zoom call with my family, and we were being introduced to our new, I guess he'd be my nephew-in-law and my niece, and they were talking about having their baby. And when the conversations turned towards stuff that was more mundane and just not meaningful to me, and people were talking about raccoons and whether you could domesticate raccoons. This is a true story. Talking about domesticating raccoons and what's going on with COVID in Turkey. I was like, not my priority right now. So I love you and thank you. It's great to know you, and moving on. So all of those things, like exit situations that are not filling your heart. Let it be a practice, and know that in the beginning, you might kind of go through more cacophony before you get to the symphony. Right? Because sometimes in making those choices, somebody else is going to go, well, that was rude. And if your intention is really true and there's no charge around it, and you're just saying, okay, this is what's happening right now, and I'm going to move over here, there's nothing wrong here. There's absolutely nothing wrong here. So allow yourself to go in those directions. So aligning with nature, listening to music, having conversations that are uplifting and inspiring, joining conscious community, bringing consciousness into community, eating with the seasons, to circle back, anything you've been doing in Pilgrim thus far is going to lead you into symphony versus cacophony, and is going to bring more coherence. Now let's think about that word, coherence and covalent bond, right? The water element, second chakra, creativity, art, music, dance, any of these things help us find more symphony. And we want to look at what the heart and soul is of the artist. So when you're listening to a piece of music, for example, you want to feel as though what's in the heart and soul of that artist is aligned with what you want to bring more into your life. That's sort of that joke about country music. It's like, what do they say, that, country music, it's so frequently not degrading, but it's
Element.
it's elemental, and it's rudimentary, and it will drop you down into your lower chakras, because it's about love and loss and go getter and survive the loss and drinking, and I mean, like George Strait, listen to anything from George Strait back in the day, beautiful musician. He's got lots of lovely things about him, but you want to find heart and soul of music that actually inspires you. And as you listen to the words, it's self-love about yourself. It's not about someone else. It doesn't bring up tears or sadness. It's like, one night many years ago, my ex-husband and I bought, I think it was like Time Warner was selling like CD packs, late night television. And you could buy like all the 80s love songs. And we bought like 16 CDs of the 80s love songs. And I mean, not good for the psyche. I'm just here to say, like, if you like pina coladas, like, that's not what you want, right? That's not what you want in your consciousness. I mean, if you want symphony versus cacophony. So just a few considerations. Hopefully that that helps. All right. So there's that. And I know there's another question. It says 4 comments. Let me see. Who am I missing here? There was another one that was coming in, I thought, but now I'm not seeing it. See here, Margot's. See, Margot, so you saw that. Did you find the choosing and using the mala? Let's see here. All right. Hello to my dear friend Roberta. I think that's from Jen. Carrie Roberts. I'm wondering about the idea of creating one's own mantra with words that resonate with oneself and adding voice or tones. How does that compare to the ancient Sanskrit mantras as far as potency? Okay. So the ancient Sanskrit mantras have been practiced for thousands of years, upwards of, so we used to speak about the history of yoga being 5,000 years old. The Smithsonian Institute did a yoga, like traveling historical show, and I flew to San Francisco to see it. And in doing so, the perception and the story goes that it's actually upwards of 12,000 years old. Sanskrit is considered to be the language through which light passes. Every kara, every sound symbol is a name of and a vibrational force of divinity. The whole purpose of Sanskrit and the way that it came to be is it was sung by the rishis. It was chanted by the rishis, and it came out of their meditative practices as a way in which to feel more aligned with divinity. Harmonic undertoning is an excellent example of that as well, where we're looking for the vibration of the sound more so than the meaning of the words. So every single sound kara, every single sound symbol in Sanskrit, in addition to the instruments that are used, have an ancient historical connection to the cosmos. So there's that. English language, if you choose that language as an example, the English language was created out of a desire for human to human transaction, for us to be able to communicate with one another. English, first person is I, second person is you, and third person is them or that, right? Or it. In Sanskrit, the way that first person, second person, and third person work is first person is essentially an indication that you have something that is worth being spoken about. Second to that, the way the verbs are conjugated, you have someone who is intent on listening to and interested in the topic about which you want to speak. And then thirdly, you speak. It's you. So it's flipped. The subject is first person, second person is second person, and is only exercised if the topic at hand is of interest and high value to the listener, and then third person is spoken. So third person is used a lot less, meaning speaking about I. So whereas English is ego-based and individual-based, Sanskrit is about the language through which light passes. We're looking for how it is that we connect to divinity more completely at all times. English is about transaction, ego to ego, person to person, personhood to personhood, thing to thing, material world, material aspect to material aspect. So then when you say with words that resonate with oneself and adding voice or tones, we must really feel into, so I won't say it's a bad idea at all. I would say that I love the fact that divinity pulses in and through Sanskrit, whether I think about it or not. If I say the word yoga, it's a prayer, right? If I say the word, let's think about Louise Hay's work, healing. it comes with a whole bunch of stuff. It comes with a whole bunch of cultural implication. It comes with a whole bunch of story and definition. And if it comes with definition, if it's this, then it's not that. So it implies polarity. Words in English imply polarity. If this is a ring, it's not a necklace. If this is hair, it's not a tooth, right? But in Sanskrit, Shiva, for example, is an aspect of divinity that awakens in ourselves, others in the world, the brilliance of transformation. So the intention with Sanskrit is to bring everything into the light, not to create distinction and separation, etc. So English has a story around it that is less vibrational and more transactional. So if you choose words in English, then the work is to find a word that blows your heart open. And then don't worry about the meaning of it. Turn everything into vibration within your whole self. Tell me if this is resonating with you, any of you. Carrie, I'd love to hear, because you asked the question, but anyone, is this resonating with you? So if I'm going to chant in English, if I'm going to create my own mantra, I want it to be something that is so deeply and potently powerful and heart-blowing open and goosebump giving and expansive, and that is so loaded with sounds and vibration that I can feel it in my whole being, right? That I can feel it in my whole being. And then that is going to give it the power that's going to to plant its seeds and to be able to gestate in my own being. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it requires a high level of consciousness, that you're the one who brings that high level of consciousness to it so that it becomes a mantra that serves you well. If it's something out there that becomes a carrot on a stick, something that you're aspiring to, more like an affirmation, in my experience, they fall flat. They're unidimensional, they're mental realm based, they're not grounded in the energetics as much as simply sitting and saying, like the Tibetan monks, right? Any of the sounding that you can do that really moves, where you're literally feeling for that vibration in your body, is going to give you more power than words in a particular language. The other thing that we have to be careful about is sometimes a word that we choose has a whole bunch of historical implication and stickiness attached to it that might be built into the etymology of the world or where the world came from. Like our Gregorian calendar, for example, Pope Gregory. The Gregorian calendar, the calendar that we follow, that's telling us that today is Wednesday, December 8th, is based upon the sun. It was essentially a calendar, right, that was superimposed over the people to disconnect them from the rhythm of the moon, from the divine feminine, from all of the earthen traditions, so that the Spanish and Irish Catholic religions could come in. And Pope Gregory, why is the Catholic Church so incredibly wealthy? Pope Gregory came in and used this calendar as a way in which to impose and create a schedule for collecting taxes. That's the whole purpose of it. That's the whole purpose of it. So now, and what do? Monday is the first day of the work week. It's when there's the most number of heart attacks, and it's the day of the moon. It's actually the day of reflection. So we've lost our connection to nature further, and we become increasingly disconnected from nature. Roberta and I were talking about this she was at the farmer's market, and some woman was like, ew, I can't trust buying these eggs from you because you're telling me not to put them in the refrigerator. And it's like, wait, we're not trusting nature. We're not trusting the chicken guy who knows eggs, the egg guy, all and above all. Right? So we want to feel as though we are deeply aligned with nature, however and whenever we can, because that's where the depth is. Now, Carrie, just knowing what I know about you, you are so deeply connected to the earth, like you always have been. I'm just reading your response. Thank you. Personal mantra should be deeply vibrational on a deep core level. Absolutely. Seems like learning the Sanskrit mantra and experience the power of those first would help later on if one chooses to create a mantra for oneself. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you can go about it either way that you want to. You can do your personal mantra first or the Sanskrit later. And here's the thing. We're not all on this planet to be yogis. We're not all on this planet to be mantra. Roberta's laughing. We're not all on this planet to practice mantra or to be bhakti yogis, to be devotional mantra yogis or yoginis or bhakti yogis or yoginis. It's not for all of us. We all come onto this planet with different impressions and different samskaras, and we have different cultural upbringing. And so where you might resonate with something because it comes from let's say you've got Irish roots and those roots are very druid and pagan and earthen, that might speak to you way more than Indian roots. Now, why I dig on yoga, this white girl from Prussia with my roots from Germany and Poland, I don't know, but I do. Like it's deep and really real for me. So are the indigenous practices. So I'm like, well, is it a past life thing? I don't know. Right? That's not going to show up on my 23andMe. Right? It's just not. But who knows? So following your heart, following the rhythm in your own being and going for the vibration. But Carrie, you're a little earth mama. Like you're an earth mama. You and Dan are like salt of the earth peeps. So I can see you being able to access that a lot more than, perhaps someone else who doesn't have that sort of that deep earthen connection. So that's what I would say about that. Okay. Resonate. It's always about the vibration. It's always about the vibration. I love mantras. I seem to go to them when I find myself irritable or uncomfortable. Perfect. That's wonderful. Thank you, Britt. So many great ideas. Thank you. All right, there it is. This is a different cat. That's hilarious. Pot Pie. I just love that name. Isn't that a great cat's name? Pot Pie.
Is it orange?
Is it orange? That's a question. Is it orange? Pretty funny. Yeah, sorry. I just apologize one more time. Big sorry. You're here for 108 days. You're joining me in Mexico. I didn't know I didn't know we were going to have a wood delivery on the donkeys with the donkeys, and you just never know. I decided to sit outside, and now there's neighbors' dogs on the roof talking. So, bienvenida. He's orange and chubby. I knew it, she said. Okay, so there it is, beloveds. I'm just going to check on over here, make sure I didn't get, all right. Andrea Bell says, yikes is the subject of her email. Just going into the love call. Got busy. It did get busy, didn't it? Okay, Gayatri Mantra. Just go to the Gayatri Mantra and response portal and my oh my. I was so in the most ecstatic bliss, utterly thankful you made this beautiful in-depth teaching for me. And then when you say God is the only one without suffering and in perfect bliss, I just can't shake the urge to give it. Yeah, the middle. Yay. Yeah, I'm going listening. I love this space. Okay. So just telling the truth here. Holy, holy mantra, subtle like a freaking Mack truck. Oh, that's great. So sweet. Okay. So I don't know that I was supposed to read that out loud, but my apologies. So big resonance. All right, that's it. We're going to close with our mantra. If you've not listened to the lessons, they're super juicy this week. It's getting juicy. Hang with me. Okay, just like here's my big call out. Stay with us. It could get tough here. It could. It might not, but it might. If it does, keep showing up. I promise you, now is not the time to go jumping off any wagons. Like, it's not the time. Now's the time to stay. Even if you just keep your toes dipped in, stay. If you're like, whoa, life's coming at me hard and furiously, Put a mantra on your headset. Let it be your alarm in the morning when it wakes you up. Like, you name it. How are you going to do it? Have it sitting there, carry it with you when you make your tea in the morning, chant along with it. You name it, whatever it is. How are you going to keep these teachings alive? This is what we call, in public health, I remember in my master's degree in public health, we called this the inoculation theory. This is about how we turn our attention to, okay, shit's going to get real here, or it could get really hard. So we inoculate ourselves against falling off the wagon, however it is that we're able to do that. So that's the work. That's what we're going for. Okay. So now we're going to close with our Om Purnamidad. So we send the breath down and out the body on the exhale, inhaling to the crown of the head. And together we chant. Om Purnamidam Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamavevashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Sweet day to you. Beautiful day. Thank you. Big love. And we'll see you tomorrow morning for our Sankalpa. Ciao.